And this has to do with a meeting that was held on October 16th. It was a roundtable meeting, talked about the bond fund. I was not at the meeting, but I watched it on Channel 77. A resident who was researching the $20,000 that was spent to promote the bond issue obtained access to the contract of the PR firm for $12,000. What he was concerned about was that the wording on the contract, he was told, was the PR firm was hired to inform the voters. But the wording on the contract said to persuade the voters. That was one of his objections, which I thought was serious enough. The second thing was that he noticed that there was two $6,000 approved invoices for the same purchase order on that PR firm. What happened was someone had split the invoices, and apparently there's an $8,500 approval level that this circumvented by splitting the invoice. Now, there was a lot of discussion going on and murmuring, and I'm not sure, I think it was the town manager, maybe not. When I see you now, it doesn't look like you look on television. But he said, look, I accept full responsibility for that. But there was a lot of murmuring, and they told the guy sit down and whatever. I don't know whether he was taking responsibility for hiring the PR firm for the misleading wording of inform the voters as to persuade the voters, or that he allowed this splitting of the invoices. This process allows payments on invoices to be made that may not have otherwise been approved for payment. It's a violation of established internal controls, which controls must exist, because it was mentioned that in this case, there's a different approval process for invoices over $8,500. As a retired professional fraud examiner and internal auditor, these findings concern me. And I would like to know what the follow-up consequences are to this person for allowing the split invoicing to happen. The fact that someone accepts full responsibility for allowing this to happen doesn't comfort me and shouldn't comfort anyone else regarding the financial system, because the occurrence could be repeated unless there are consequences to someone or some department for such violations. We almost approved an expenditure of $16.5 million that was going to see its way through the system that allow these types of internal control deficiencies to occur. This raises the possibility that further unauthorized or unapproved or money not so appropriated might be spent. I would like to know, and I'm not for hire, incidentally, I'm a retired person, I would like to know if we have an internal auditor type person that periodically reviews financial transactions, at least on a random basis. As part of us venturing into the next phase of this community bond, the system to control and safeguard the town's financial interest should be immediately implemented so that these things are not allowed to continue. I'm prepared to offer my professional services at any time at no charge to the town. I am retired and I will continue to be so. However, it is difficult to turn a blind eye to this incident and not also to offer some resistance. But for sure, I am not for hire. So my concern is that the wording was misleading, which should be an outrage, and the split invoicing just circumvented the whole thing, and where does that stop?
Great. Mr. Manager, you want to address that?
What say you?
Mr. Durante, the contract was with the town manager, not with the town commission. So it was my decision to make, and the amount of the contract was for $8,400 and $15, $84.15, I believe. So
I can't hear you.
the mic on? Yeah, it should be.
Maybe we need to turn Not the mics up, but maybe the speaker system in the room, just so we don't mess up the TV broadcast again. Is the gentleman back there? Well, in the meantime, get close for Gary. Try that. See if that helps.
Is this better? Some of better?
Better.
Okay. The contract with Marketing Magic was my decision to make. It was a decision the commission did not make. It was within my authority to do so. And the contractor's amount was not $12,000. It was $84.15. The expenditures that were made were not a violation strictly in terms of the amount, but it was with one vendor it exceeded the $8,500 limit, which was contrary to what I had instructed the Marketing Magic folks not to do. But I think it was for different purposes, and it was not a split invoice. It was for two different projects or components of the project. Now, I am ultimately responsible for controlling that, and I accept responsibility, as I said in the meeting that you referred to. And it requires to correct that. It requires this commission to approve that expenditure so it does become proper. And that is on the commission's agenda tonight.
The resident is, I don't know if he's here or not, he had a copy of the contract.
He did.
And he was showing it here to everybody who was saying, no, you know, that it was 12,000, maybe 12,500.
It was not.
Maybe not. I don't have it.
I have it. We have the
84.15,
contract right here.
84.15, of course, is just under the $8,500 level, which also raises my suspicion, maybe because of my profession.
And fair enough, and I will tell you
However,
that it was negotiated.
I don't know if it was 84.15, I don't know if it was 12,000, but there was no reason to split the invoicing. Were there two invoices to pay that? Why were they?
For two different components.
He said it had the same PO number and the same. Huh? He said, I don't know. He said, no, he didn't say it was, he said it was consecutive invoices. Were you the one? You had the contract? You have less hair than I saw you last time. Was it for 12,000? You were holding it up? 5,000. That's for the banners. No, this is for a PR contract to inform the voters.
84.15.
Yeah, this is not what I'm talking about. I don't know anything about the flags of vendors. I'm sure that's something else. What I'm talking about is the contract with the PR firm. It was 8,400 instead of 12,000, and was the wording to inform the voters or to persuade the voters?
That I cannot comment on, but I can tell you that the program that was.
What he said was that.
Well, I can comment on it.
Let me just add. There was consecutive invoices, but with the same purchase order number. You know, it's just the fact that he had a case so well organized, was so well organized, that the banner was another 5,000. Whatever was incurred got up to a $20,000 level. So I just thought it was a little bit unfair. But I mean, if it's only 8,400, again, that kind of.
Well, you're welcome to come in and take a look at what we've got. You're welcome to look at all the information.
Okay. But there is an $8,500 approval level
For the town manager, that's correct.
Is there a way that a person like myself, a resident, can come in and say, I mean, what do you say? What do they say when they want to look at something like he has? How does he do that? How does he just comes in and says, give me the invoice?
He's got to make out a written public